This is O. William by Elizabeth Strout, and this is what I wrote after reading it. Oh, Elizabeth. This is, I think, the fifth of her books that I've read in the past couple of years, and I've been looking forward very much to it coming out in paperback and getting stuck into it. The fact that it made this year's Booker shortlist whetted my appetite even further. Perhaps that was too much build-up, as I was disappointed with it. Lucy's voice, which I enjoyed so much in I Am Lucy Barton, seemed very inauthentic. I know we're supposed to be seeing the contrast between Lucy, the famous novelist, and Lucy, the real person, but I found her linguistic tick of saying something and then adding something like, I loved him. That's what I mean. Very frequently, it quickly became annoying. I could not see Lucy with these mannerisms and her naivety and her lack of insight into people as a credible writer. And Strout herself has these wonderful characteristics in spades. I think I found it also difficult to retain information about the plot and the characters, and I genuinely didn't know whether this is to do with the book itself or how much it's to do with my memory. People in my reading group read this book, and people whose opinions I value and often find I'm agreeing with, they really liked it. They thought it was a real masterpiece, I think. So I read it again. I've read it twice, and it failed to work for me. And I'm really now confused about this book and Elizabeth Strout, and why I couldn't see in it what others saw in it. And then I read Rory Stewart's Politics on the Edge. I listened to Rory Stewart on his podcast, and in some ways found some of the content of this book quite familiar, as I'd already heard him over a couple of years talking about it. Basically, it's a very clear account of, I think, an honest and concerned person trying to be a conscientious constituency MP and also a member of a government and having kind of international responsibilities, and his struggle to carry out his duties in a way that kind of satisfied his conscience and his beliefs. I like Rory Stewart's perspective, even though I don't share some of his sort of more conservative values myself. Nonetheless, he's very clear where he stands on various issues and why he stands there. And it's a very engaging read, and well written and well worth it. After that, I went on to Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I've never read her before. I know that the Poisonwood Bible is very popular and highly regarded, and this one came out with a big reputation. It's set in a kind of depressed Appalachian community, and really it describes the kind of bleak lives of the poor in that community. It's clear that Kingsolver is very, very angry about what's happened to that section of American society. Also destroyed by opiates, so it's the opiate crisis. It's incredibly well written. It's 550 pages of it. The blurb makes a big point of saying that this is loosely based on Dickens' David Copperfield, hence Demon Copperhead. And I don't know why that needs to be made so prominent. I vaguely know bits of David Copperfield and I didn't find the parallels very convincing, although some of the names are plays on Dickens' characters. It's a brilliant book. It's stark. The voice, what makes this book in particular is the voice of the narrator, Demon Copperhead himself. It's a brilliant piece of writing. She creates this character through his his first person narrative, and it really never lets up in terms of the voice of that character. So it's incredibly skilled as a piece of writing, I think. I'm not sure it needed to be 560 pages long. I think it could have done the job at half this length, or 3/4 of it. It felt like a long read in the end to me, and that detracted slightly from what is clearly a work of real merit. Next I read Dylan Goes Electric by Elijah Ward. This is the book that the recent film with Timothée Chalamet in it, the book that film has used as its source, if you like. I bought it some while ago, but only started dipping into it once I knew the film was on its way. It's an absolutely excellent piece of work. It's about the night when Dylan went electric at the Newport Folk Festival in 1965, but it gives the detail of the build-up to what was otherwise just some kind of slight event, which nonetheless has people still talking about it 60 years later. This book explains why it was such a big deal, and it's very well balanced, well researched, and well written. So I thoroughly recommend this. It's really good. I then went on to my second Claire Keegan book of the year, Small Things Like These. And whereas I'd had a few reservations about the one I read earlier in the year, this was really, really good. The film has attracted a lot of attention. I've not seen that yet, but the texture of this, the writing, it's all those things that she's remarkable at. Succinct prose, not a wasted word, fantastic sense of atmosphere, the kind of the town, the build up to Christmas, the decent character trying to do the right thing, who's torn between looking after his family, looking after the people who work for him, but also bothered about what he's seen in this institution that becomes the centre of the book. I thought it was beautifully written and a lovely read. What a book to kind of really get absorbed by. I then went on to The Proof of My Innocence by Jonathan Coe. I like Jonathan Coe. I like his sort of satirical writing. He's quite angry, really, but he hides it underneath a witty, erudite, clever facade. This is set over the 49 days or 47 days, whatever it was, of Liz Truss's premiership. And he has some fun poking in the ribs of the far right, but he's also talking about the nature of fiction and narrative, and got some good points there about how we construct stories, and of course the place of stories in political events, all the more so of late, probably. It's when he's talking about narratives, he plays around with the idea of cozy crime, the idea of autofiction, people writing themselves into their own books. So he's experimenting with a lot of things about literature, as well as making a lot of points about political narratives. It's a clever, witty, enjoyable book. And that really is my my reading for 2024. Thank you.